Kadosh Boker Or Chodesh Tov Masechet Bava Metzia Daf Yudaled Amud Aleph 14a1. We were continuing the previous Gemara. One more time. If you remember, we had a machloket between Rabbi Meir and a Chachamim. Okay, somebody found the lost debt document. Do you return it to them or don't you return it to them? There's a machloket between Rabbi Meir and Chachamim in the Mishnah. Now we had a three-way machloket, right? Three different ways how to learn up what is the machloket between Rabbi Meir and Chachamim. Shitat Rabbi Elazar, right? I'm doing a quick revision so that way you guys are into it again. Shitat Rabbi Elazar was that the machloket is where the guy does not admit to the debt. Meaning you come and you ask the borrower, did you borrow the money? He says, no. If the document is forged or I already paid it back. Yeah, that's what he said. That is the machloket of Mishnah. So what does that mean? Rabbi Meir comes and he holds that a shtar that does not have achriyut nechasim, you don't collect from nothing, right? Rien, you do not collect at all. And according to the rabbis, you don't collect from mishubadim, from nechasim mishubadim, which means from properties that have a lien, but you can collect from nechasim nechodim. Aval, however, though, what? That's a machloket. Chachamim Rabbi Meir. No, one more time. Rabbi Meir says you don't collect from nothing. Rabbanan say you do collect, but only from nechasim and nechodim. Next, what happens though if the guy admits? Meaning the borrower, he says, yeah, I owe you the money. Divrei hakol, according to everybody, you give it back. Velo chayshinan, and we do not suspect too monkey business. What is monkey business? We don't suspect, like we give the example this morning, that I come and David lent me money, and then afterwards I come and I say that I really paid him back, and then I come and say, no, he didn't pay me back, then he wants to take it away from Baba Haki. That was the entire story, right? That we said that maybe there's like monkey business going around, that maybe I did pay it back, and then afterwards I just did it just to take it out of the likuchot from somebody else. So that was the first shita of Rabbi Elazar. We went, then there was also Rabbi Yochanan, and we had previously also Shemuel. 1 second. So now what happened is that we said that we had a question against Rabbi Elazar. What was the question against Rabbi Elazar? The question was, we have a Braita. And the Braita comes and says that if you right now come and you found the shtar chov, okay, and it has achrayut, even though they both agree, you don't give it back to nobody. If it does not have achrayut nechasim, so if the loveh is modeh, meaning that he admits, yachzir lamalveh, you give it back to him, and if it is not modeh, you don't give it back. That's the words of Rabbi Meir. Why? Because Rabbi Meir says that a shtar chov that has achriyut nechasim, you do not, right? If it has achriyut nechasim, you govem nechasim shubadim. If it does not have achriyut nechasim, you're only going to be govem nechasim b'nechorim. So that's a stira, because here it says the Braita mefurash, and according to Shitat Rabbi Meir, if it does not have achriyut nechasim, you are goveh from nechasim b'nechorim, from free properties, from tangible properties, right? From like metaltalin and other things like that. We just said in Rabbi Elazar that you do not do that. So that's a question against Rabbi Elazar. And then we brought down, Chachamim come and they say that you're always going to collect from Nechasim Mishubadim. Then we said it's a tiyut of the Rabbi Eliezer, so the Rabbi Elazar, we said it's not only just one, technically speaking it's two. Why? Because number one, you just told me in Shitat Rabbi Meir that you do not collect nothing, right? That's Rabbi Elazar. And here we said you do collect from Nechasim and Nechorim. Question number two, you said that we do not suspect to monkey business. And here we say that you do suspect for monkey business. So the Gemara answered, it's not really two different questions against Rabbi Elazar. It's one question, but from one reason. What's the one reason? At the end of the day, is because since Rabbi Elazar said that the machloka between Rabbi Meir and Chachamim is when the guy does not admit to the claim, meaning you ask the borrower, did you borrow? No, I either paid it back or I never borrowed at all. So therefore, that's the reason why he has to say such a thing. Okay, nekuda. That's how we finished off yesterday's daf. Okay, now we're starting today's daf. Okay, we're on the top of Yudaled Amud Aleph. Tiyufta de Shmuel betarte. There's going to be two questions against Shemuel. Right? What's the two questions against Shemuel? On Yud Gimel Amud Aleph, we had, right, Shemuel. Okay? And when we had Shemuel, that he's coming and he's explaining what is the machloket exactly, right? He comes and he's actually going to say as follows. Okay? Shemuel came and he said that Rabbi Meir says that if it's en bo achrayut, en gove lo mi mishabde velo mi bnei choreh. Where I'm on the bottom of Yud Gimel Amud Aleph, 13a1, 13a on, I don't know what it is, a3 probably. On the bottom, we said that in Shitat Shemuel, in Rabbi Meir, you do not collect nothing. So the same question that we just asked on Rabbi Elazar, we have on Rabbi Meir. Meaning, just like on Rabbi Lazar, we asked, how can you tell me that according to Rabbi Meir, if there's nechasim she'en lahem achrayut, that there's no achrayut, you do not collect nothing? We had a braita that you do collect. You collect from nechasim and echodim. Okay? Are you guys with me or not? Yeah? Very good. So says the Gemara, Chada, Rabbi Lazar, Tamuki matnitin, b'she'en chayav modeh. Because he said that Ram Yishna is talking about where he's not admitting. Vechada, and another question. You know what the other tiyuta is? The other refutation is? The Amar Shmuel says, Matzar shtar hakna'a bashuk. If you find a shtar hakna'a in the marketplace, you remember what a shtar hakna'a was? A shtar hakna'a was a document that you come and you obligate yourself from now, even though the loan didn't take place for another 3 months. I don't care. Right now, you subjugate yourself. You come and you put yourself a lien from now, even though it could be much later on. So according to Shitat Shemuel, he says if you find a shtar hakna'a in the shuk, yachzir lebali, you do give it back. Velo chashiyan lepiron, we're not going to suspect that maybe he paid it off. Now, right, this is a tiyufta, right? Why? Because at the end of the day, we said that in this braita, we just said that we do suspect for monkey business. Meaning we do suspect for piraon, and also we suspect for monkey business. Kenunya. Kenunya is like the trickery. So therefore, you, Shemuel, just said that we don't suspect that he's going to pay it back. Here we just said you do suspect it. So tiyufta dektani hacha, we do suspect for piraon, right? And all the more so here, that he's not admitting to it, that we're going to suspect that maybe he paid it off. So that's the second question against Shmuel. First question against Shmuel, how can you tell me that according to Rabbi Meir, you don't collect nothing if it's nechasim she'en lahem achrayut? You collect nothing. It's not true. You do collect from nechasim and echodim. Just like the same question that we had on Rabbi Lazar. Question number 2, we just said in the Braita that we're not going to suspect for piraon and kenuya. We're not going to suspect that you paid back, and we're not going to suspect for monkey business. Here it says we do, right? What's going on here? So Amar Shmuel. So Shmuel comes and he says, Maita mayud Rabbanan. What's the reasoning of Rabbanan? Savre achrayut taut soferhu. They come and they hold that achrayut is a taut sofer. What does that mean? Right? The reasoning of Chachamim in our Mishnah is that when you have a shtar that does not have achrayut nechasim, right? So therefore the malve is still going to collect from the lekuchot. Now why? Because he holds that achrayut is a taut sofer, which means that if there's not written in the shtar achrayut nechasim, it was a sofer that made the mistake, right? But for sure, he actually did it without achrayut nechasim, because a person will never throw his money for nothing, and therefore for sure, right, the love had to subjugate his properties. But it was a mistake that the guy didn't write it down. Remember, each time we have to explain, right, according to the different rabbis, right? Since there's a machloket, right, you can't always say, right? So for example, right, doctor, you just mentioned the concept of tearing up the document. We don't always hold of that, the proof, because it's a machloket in the Mishnah, which means that it's not a blanket line that this is the way that it paskins and that's it. At the end of the day, people still have it. But now here he comes and he says like this. Shmuel comes and he says something very interesting. He says, 1 second, I'm lending money. Would I ever throw my money to the garbage? I would never throw my money to the garbage. I would always make sure that if I'm going to lend out money, I know exactly what I'm doing and I know that I have somewhere where to collect from. So he says, 1 second, so why then be'emet is it not written achrayut in the document? He says it was a taut sofer. The sofer made the mistake, not me. Meaning, when I lent the money, I wanted the guy to come and he wanted him to subjugate his properties. And he said yes, and everything is perfect. But then what happened? All of a sudden, what happens is that what? Is that, how do you call this? Is that all of a sudden, it wasn't in the document. Why isn't it in the document? Taut sofer. The guy made a mistake. The sofer came and he, he's not the same person that's writing it. So he went and he forgot to actually write it in. So, Amar le Rava bar iti, right? Le Rav Idi baravin. Says Rava bar iti to Rav Idi baravin. Umiyam Shmuel hachi. Does Shmuel actually say that the concept of an achrayut is a mistake? Meaning that if it does not actually have it there, it's actually going to be a mistake? Shmuel says, Shevach, Shefer, v'shi'abud, tzarich limalech, which means the sofer, when he's going to write a shtar mechira, write a document, he has to ask the mocher, and he has to ask him the following conditions. Number 1, is he mishabed nechasav for achrayut? Right? That means basically, are you putting a lien? So basically, for example, you're selling a house. are you putting in a guarantee that the house is yours? So nowadays we buy title insurance and we buy all these types of things to make sure, right, that and even with that there's problems. That's why you have to pay in for an insurance. But the concept though is that you want to try checking out the titles and checking out the. But the first question that we're going to ask him is, do you accept upon yourself achrayut? That's going to be number one. Number two, right? Are you going to take not only just a property, but also the shevach, right? That the lokeach came and he appreciated it. What does that mean? The guy comes, he buys a field, right? What is the first thing that you do when you buy something, right? Or you buy a house. What is the first thing you do? You do renovations. So you come and you start renovating. And all of a sudden somebody comes and he takes it away from you. So now, not only do you have to pay the principal of the house or whatever it is that you paid, you appreciated the value. You just spent money investing in order to come and to do renovations. So therefore, do you accept upon yourself the shevach? So it's not only just... But it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, meaning that when you're selling though, and somebody's going to come and take it away from you, you have to accept upon yourself not only the keren, the principle, whatever I appreciated in value. Because at the end of the day, when I did that color because I thought it was my house. Is it my fault that you didn't pay your bills and all of a sudden somebody else is collecting? It's not my problem. But you have to pay me for that, not only just the principle, but the shevach. That's called shevach. Number three, shefer. What is shefer? Sheyuchal ligvot et ma'otav me'ayedit shebenechasim. Which means, just like we said, shifra. You remember, like, we actually bring it down also in the Ketubah, Vedot Mizrach, they say this, Nichse Shefer. Right? What is Shefer? Shefer here means the la creme de la creme, the best of the properties, the yidit. What does that mean? Okay, fine. Let's say even I'm going to come and I'm going to collect the principal. And I'm going to collect not only the principal, I'm going to collect also the shevach. But do I also collect from the best of the property? Or you're going to give me some property in Opaloka? Or no, I want it in the Surfside. Right? Why? Because I want the yidit. Right? I don't want, I don't want now the, exactly, right? The Biskin point and all those things. I want that it should be the best, right? That's the edit. So says the Gemara, Leima man de amarha lo amarha. So says the Gemara, you're right. The one that does not teach this one, which means this machloket amoraim, right, in Shemuel, and the one that did not say it, is because they're two different mandamas. Which means the one that says Achrayut Sofer never said that Shibud you have to start asking. So therefore that's why you never ask. Which means like this. There's going to be a machloket in Shitat Shemuel, right? The first one said if you don't have Achrayut written, Taut Sofer. The Sofer made the mistake for sure. The second one says, no. The second one is, you'll never have a concept of Taut Sofer. You know why? When the Sofer is going to ask the questions, the first question that he asks is he has to ask you three different questions. Number one, do you accept upon yourself Achrayut? Number two, which is going to be the Keren. Number two, the Shevach, which is going to be the appreciation and value. And number three, to collect from Idit, to collect from the best properties. So for those three questions you have to ask. So obviously the one that told you the Achrayut is Taut Nechasim, Taut Sofer, is not the same one that tells you that you are obligated to ask every single time this questions. Okay?
In a way, protection for the...
Says the Gemara, answers the Gemara lakashya. It's not a question. Kan, our Mishnah, which Shmuel says Achrayut is a Taut Soferi, bishtar al-va'ah. We're talking about a loan document, not a sale document. Because beforehand we were talking about a sale document. Now we're talking about a loan document. That a person doesn't want to make his money get lost. Kan, here we're talking about mekach or memkar. It's two different cases. One of them is buying and selling. Another one is a loan. They're two different dinim. They're not the same. Somebody's going to tell you, it's the same thing. No, it's not the same thing. So he says, why? It does exist that some people will come and they'll sell a property even for a day. Right? It does exist. So they'll sell it and then buy back or this or that. So there does exist. Meaning a loan, if you're going to lend out money and it's going to go to garbage, no. You're not going to lend out money. You're not throwing money to the garbage, right? To the waste. But a sale, people will do it. Kiahi, just like the story of Avua Bar Ihi. Zavin ilita me'achateh. He bought the second floor, right, which is the aliyah is ilita, right, of his sister. Ata balchov, came a balchov, tarfamine, he took it away from him. Ata lekamed Shmuel, came in front of Shmuel. Amarle, he says, katva lach achrayut, did she write you a achrayut, meaning did she write you the guarantee? Amarle, he says, no. Amarle, he says, in ken, lech shalom. Ifzat al atzmecha, ma ta rotze? Yeah, you lost to yourself. What do you want? So Amaleh, he says, "V'hamor hu damar," but you yourself say, "Achrayut is taut sofer." You were the one that just said it's a taut sofer. So Amaleh, he says, "Hanemile b'shtarei halva." That's only by halva. Meaning the only time when we're going to come and say that for sure you wanted it there was only by shtar halva, not by everything. Only by shtar halva. But by shtar mekach umemkar Lo. We don't say that it's achrayut to sell sofer. Why? It does exist that a person will come and will sell a field for a day. So Amar Abaye comes now and he says, Reuven shemachar sadeh leShimon b'achrayut. Imagine you have a case of Reuven that he sells a field to Shimon b'achrayut. Yeah? Uba balchov. So comes the balchov of Reuven. He grabs it away from him. Dina hu de'azil Reuven u'shtar dina ba'adeh. Really, be'emet halacha is that he should go and he should actually go and fight with him. He can't just say laval dvarim didiyat, that you have nothing to do with me, right? Why? Because at the end of the day, right, that you can't say I have nothing to do with you because it came out of your shoot. Shimon is I'm actually getting it from you. So if I have a teviyah, I have it against you also as well. He could tell him anything that you're going to take it away from Shimon is going to come on me because I accepted achrayut. So therefore, since I accepted achrayut, you're going to take it. So therefore, you're dealing with me, which means that this, right? Right? Let's say I come and I sold a field to Michel. Yeah? Mordechai comes and he takes away from Michel. I could come and start fighting with Mordechai. Now, why? Because the reason why is because he cannot say, listen, it has nothing to do with you. No. If I sold it with achrayut, anything that he takes away comes from back to me. So therefore, it's like a circle that at the end of the day, I'm always involved. Because since I gave the guarantee, he could always come back to me. So therefore, he comes and he says, Afilu shelo ba'achrayut nami. Even without achrayut, it still is the same halacha. Why? Because he comes and he says, Lo nichale de lahavet Shimon Torah. Even if there was no achrayut, which means like this. In the previous case, there is an achrayut. Why is there an achrayut? Right? Because at the end of the day, I have to make it up. Meaning, if right now, if we just say, listen, Mordechai only deals with him. He takes it away from Mordechai. What happens? What? Yeah, they finish the transaction. Right? What happens? What happens is, now he comes back to me. So therefore, I'm still a litigant in the case. Meaning, don't say that I'm not involved. I'm 100% involved because whatever he takes away from him, takes away from me. So I have to get involved to fight and say, no, it's wrong, or whatever it is. And you go back and forth to do siyach. Says the Gemara, right? Even if there was no achrayut, which means I can never lose out. I sold as is, right? That's a term which is used many times in law now, right? You buy as is, meaning afterwards, anything that happens, I don't care. You buy as is. Now, when I sold it to Michel, even if afterwards comes Mordechai takes away, he can never come back to me. But says the Gemara, some people say I could still get involved. And he cannot tell me you have nothing to do with it anymore. Now, why? I could have said before, no, but they're still going to come after me. Here, no, there was no achrayut chasim. I could still say I'm still involved. Why? I don't want Michel to have a ta'anot on me. I don't want him to come back to me afterwards and say, look what you did. You purposely sold it to me without achrayut. And look what you did. You set me up. You knew this was going to happen. What type of a person are you? Are you even straight? I don't want taromet. So because of that, Mordechai cannot say, no, I have nothing to do with you. No. I'm a litigant. I'm there. I'm a defendant. Because now I don't want him to have excuses against me. But Amar Abaye comes and he says, Reuven shemachar sadeh leShimon shelo b'achrayut. If Reuven comes and he sells a field to Shimon without achrayut, v'yatzu alei isikin, right? There's esek umriva, right? There comes out of fights about it. Ad shelo yichsik, until Shimon does not make a chazakah on the field, right? Yudaled amudaled, Amud Bet, 14b, yachol lachzor bo. He could actually retract. Misheichzik ba. But once he comes and he makes a kinyan, which means he makes a chazakah, he cannot retract. Right? Why? Because the karka is nikne b'chazakah. So even though he didn't pay yet, since he already made a chazakah on the field, so therefore that's it. The Elmaleh is Reuven, the seller, could tell Shimon, Chayta de kitre savart v'kabalt. He says what? You come and you iskamta lekabel al atzmecha, saka malek sharim. And that means basically you are a person that came and you acquired a bag, right, which is full of a whole bunch of different knots and things like that, which is basically and you didn't check it, right? And then when you open it up, there's nothing inside. So you can't say anymore mekach taut. Why? Since you didn't check beforehand, right? So therefore, you already held of it. You were savar v'kibel, right? So too here, once you acquired it without nechasim, you accepted any losses or any damages, which is basically the entire concept of losing as is. So me'emet I have a chazakah. When is it going to be considered a chazakah then? Mechidai shamitzre, right? When he's going to fix the gevulot of the silev, which means when he fixes the mitzarim, that's already considered that it helps for a kinyan. So when you go into a property and you come and you start fixing the fences and you start fixing what is my property, what is his property, That's it. You already acquired it. Okay? And that's one girsa in Abaye. So says the Gemara, Vika de Amri. There are those that say, which means now we're going to bring another version of Abaye. Afilu ba'achrayut nami, even with achrayut, right? Also, right, it's going to be the same thing, which means that he cannot retract, even though he made a chazakah, right? That means even though he didn't even give the money yet. That means one more time, the guy comes, he buys a field. He didn't give the money, but he made a chazakah. Even if it's going to be with achrayut, he cannot retract. Now, why exactly? He says, Elmaleh bizikasei, achvi tarfach v'shalem lach. When you're going to show me the shtar, right, on the field, right, after tarfua or nimcha, then I'm going to pay you for it. Which means right now, as long as nobody actually came and took the field away from him, you can't say that. Meaning like this. Imagine right now, I come and I lend you the money, right, or I sold you the field. And all of a sudden now you find out that I owed money to somebody else. You don't, until the guys don't come and collect from you, you can't say anything. You could be upset, but you can't do anything. Why? Because as long as nobody comes to collect, you cannot do anything. Okay? Fine. Itman, it was stated. Okay? Yudala damum bet. Itman. If you sold a field to your friend, and it wasn't yours. So imagine, you sold a field, and after selling the field, it was actually stolen. So it was never yours to actually sell. Rav Amar Rav says, Yesh lo ma'ot, right? He gets the money back, which means he gets the money back from the guy. V'yesh lo shevach. Not only does he get the money, he also could claim the shevach also as well, the praise. So for example, I came and I bought it from John Doe. John Doe was not the owner. He sold me a field that was not his. So now, but not only I bought it, so I paid Keren, the principal, but I also invested. That investment, he has to pay me back as well. Okay? Ushmul Amar, Shmuel says, no, ma'ot yeshlo. He does get the money back, but shevach enlo. He does not get any of the praise, meaning the appreciation, meaning anything that he invested in the property, he does not get back. So by Ravuna, so they asked from Ravuna, piresh lo et shevach mahu. Right? What happens if the mocher went and he told to the lokeach that if they're going to come and they're going to take it from you, even the shevach I'll give you. What's the halacha? Tamad is Shmuel, is the reasoning of Shmuel that you don't take it is because he didn't explain it explicitly, right? And he didn't say Mishum de lo piresh shivcha. Vehacha piresh, and here he did tell him that he's going to give him back the shevach. Or Dilmar, maybe Tamad is Shmuel, the reasoning of Shmuel is Kevan de lele karka michse krebit. Since the sky never had a piece of land, it looks like rebit. Why does it look like rebit? What happened? I came and I give you money, right? The seller never had a piece of land. So therefore, what happened? It's kilu, I lent him money. All of a sudden now, he has to pay me back money with the shevach, with the with the investment. That looks like rebit. So because it looks like rebit, so therefore that's why he doesn't pay him the shevach. Is that the reason of Shemuel? So Amar lehu, so Ravuna comes and he tells the people that are answering, in velav rafya biyadeh. Meaning ken velo, meaning that at the beginning he said yes, and afterwards he said no. Rafya biyadeh. It was meaning that, right, you do find this many, many times in the Gemara, that basically they don't have a clear answer. One time they say no, I think yes. Then after they say no, you know what, I think no. And he wasn't sure. But Rafya biyadeh. Yeah, okay. Itman, another statement. Amar Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel. So says Rav Nachman in the name of Shemuel. Ma'ot yeshlo, shevach enlo. So one more time, he gets the money back, but he doesn't get the investment back, right? What he invested in the house to make it better. Afal pi shepiresh et shevach. Even though he went mefurash and he said that I'm going to give you that money back. My tama, what's the reasoning? Kevin the karka enlo schar ma'otav u'mevinotel. Because since right now he doesn't have a piece of land, so therefore it looks like rebit. What? He's taking the rebit for his money? He doesn't have a piece of land. So there, because remember, by mekach u'memkar, it's not that simple that it's rebit. But if the guy doesn't have a field, that is rebit. Rebit is on a loan, not on a sale. Okay? So here he comes and he says like this. So Eitvei Rava Rav Nachman, says Rava to Rav Nachman from the following Mishnah, he's going to ask, En motzin lachilat perot v'leshevach karkaot. We're not going to take out for the eating of the fruits or the appreciation of the land. V'lemezona isha v'abanot, or for the parnasah of a woman and her daughters in the ketubah from nechasim mishubadim. So one more time, you have nechasim mishubadim, a field that has a lien. You cannot come and take away from them for eating for perot or shevach karkaot, or for the parnasah of a woman and her daughters from nechasim mishubadim. Right? Only from nechasim bnei horin. Why? Mipnei tikkun haolam. Because of tikkun olam. Why? Because if they're going to come and take the chovot from the lekuchot, a person will never buy a field. Right? Why? Because there's no such thing as a person that's not chayav to give his wife food or daughter's food. So therefore, it's like something that has no end. Imagine right now you come, you sold a field. If we're going to say that right now your wife and daughters could always come and collect from that field, a guy will never buy a field because everybody is obligated to feed their wife and children. So therefore, if you're going to say now that this wife and children could always collect from the lekuchot, a person will never buy a field. It just doesn't make sense. Okay? They cannot take from nechasim mishubadim. But if it's going to be nechasim menechorin, they do take out. We did say shevach karkaot. What is shevach karkaot? The appreciation in the value. My lover, we're not talking about lokach min gazlan that you bought it from a gazlan, and says no, you bought it from a balchov. Right? It was talking about a balchov. What does that mean? That you grabbed it from a balchov, not from a gazlan, because a gazlan again, it could be that there might be a problem of ribit. Here, you took it from a balchov. There's no problem of ribit. Okay, so says the Gemara, if we're talking about now that it's a balchov, that means somebody that owed you money. Let's see the reisha. It says that you don't take it out for achila perot. Right? You don't take it out achila perot from nechasim mishubadim. Now, if we're talking about a balchov never gets payday. What are you talking about? A balchov, right? He gets to collect from the lokeach. No, balchov govet shevach. Shevach in perot no. The balchov could only take the appreciation and the value, but not the fruits. Yeah. So answers Gemara, la pshita begozel v'nigzal. We're talking about a gozel and a nigzal. And since the Reisha is talking about gozel v'nigzal, also the Seifa is also talking about gozel v'nigzal. Midi iria. Can you compare both cases? Hakirita. Each halacha is different, which means you explain it differently, right? Which means, right, the Reisha is talking about the fruits. We're talking about gozel v'nigzal, right? But that's the fruits. Okay, that somebody stole it, so you have to pay for the fruits as well. He says the Seifa, we're talking about shevach karkaot, and that's talking about a balchov. That's talking about the shevach, the depreciation. That's only what you invested in it. That's only talking about a balchov and not gozel v'nigzal. Because if not, according to Shmuel, you don't pay it back. Because if not, it looks like ribit. It looks like you're paying interest. Okay, so it says the Gemara, v'halo taniachi. It says we never learned this, right? Why? We said l'shevach karkaot keitzad. What's the case of shevach karkaot? Imagine right now you steal a field from your friend. And you have it. When he collects, you do collect the principal from nechasim mishubadim, from that has debts, that has liens. Sorry. The shevach but the shevach you do collect, but nechasim menechorin. So here it's written in furash that you do collect. Okay, you're only collecting from nechasim menechorin, but you are collecting. So it says, what's the case exactly? If you're going to tell me then, right, that we're talking about the gazlan mimigave. Who does he collect from? He doesn't collect from anybody, right? Why? They collected from him. He's a thief. What he's going to collect? He just stole a field. He's going to collect from something. He just stole it. You stole it from a friend, and then you sold it to somebody else. And then that guy came and he was mashpicha. He came and he made it much better. So therefore, obviously, we're talking about that he's going to collect the shevach. So again, this is not like Shmuel. You told me, Shmuel, that you never collect the shevach, because it looks like interest, because he doesn't have properties. Here you say you do collect. You're right. There's a difference. Where do you collect from? Do you collect from nechasim mishubadim, nechasim menechorin? So the keren, the principal, you get from nechasim mishubadim, from the properties that have liens, and the shevach you're going to collect from nechasim menechorin, but you still collect. So Elmaleh, Rav Nachman comes and he answers. He tells Rava, "Lav tirutze kametartzte." He says, you have to answer this up. Tarit sami, so to the same thing. Balchov. We're talking about a balchov. We're not talking about a gazlan. Once we're talking about a balchov, it's a completely different halacha than a gazlan. There's gazlan and there's balchov, two different halachot. Okay, fine. Tashima, another braita. La'achila perot keitzad. What's the case of achila perot? If you stole a field from your friend, and it's coming out of his hands. So when you're going to collect the keren from the chasim mishubadim. You're going to collect the principal from the chasim mishubadim, from properties that have a lien. But the perot, you're only going to collect from nechasim menechorin. Hechidami, what's the case? He says, if you're going to tell me now, like we learned, gazlan miman gave, who's the gazlan going to collect from? Nobody. We just said he's a gazlan. He stole. What, he's going to collect from somebody? But rather, he stole the field and he sold it to somebody else. Another guy came and he was mashpiach. So Rava comes and he says, what are we dealing with? You stole and you had a field full of fruits and you ate the perot. And you dug borot shechinim orot. The nigzal comes and he wanted to collect the keren. So that he's going to go nechasim shubadim. Nigzal yigo perot, that he could only collect from nechasim and nechorim, meaning that he didn't sell it to anybody. A guy came and he stole a field. When he steals a field, he did two things. He ate, that's perot, and also he dug borot shechinim orot. So the fruits the guy could collect from nechasim shubadim, but which is that's a keren, right? The keren he's going to collect from the chasim shubadim. The fruits he's going to collect from the chasim and echorim. Okay, and then Rabba Baravuna is going to answer something else. Really, be'emet, he took a mesikin, which was, if you remember, the gazanim that they come and they take a bekoach, and that's obviously going to be a completely different case.